Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network. The broadcast shows are for informational and entertainment purposes only. They are not designed to provide listeners with specific personal, medical, or counseling advice. Individuals with a medical issue should always consult their healthcare provider. MS&Me is not responsible for content of individual shows. The views expressed by show hosts or their guests are their own. Enjoy the show.
Hi, I want to welcome everybody to the MS&Me Radio Network. My name is Kelly Alderton. I'm a wife, a mom, a health coach, an entrepreneur, and author. My book, Waking Up from MS, My Journey to Health, Healing, and Living Symptom-Free, is available on Amazon, and it details my almost 30-year journey living with and beating MS. And I'm so excited to be here on the MS&Me Radio Network because we have an opportunity to share information and inspiration to people living with or dealing with MS around the globe. Now, our broadcast is going to be available on YouTube within 24 hours, and my specific one is always aired on Sundays at 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. I want to welcome everybody to the broadcast today, and I'm particularly excited about my next guest, Diana Bummenglad from California, and we have become friends through this journey with MS. And I'm so excited, Diana, to have you on the call today. Thank you so much for being here. And please share your story on your journey here with MS. How were you first diagnosed?
Hi, Kelly. Thank you for letting me share my story. I appreciate that. I was diagnosed. It happened about 10 years ago. I went to a worker comp doctor through my work because my fingers kept tingling and my forearm would get a little tired. So my boss said, you need to have that checked out. So I went to a workers' comp doctor who said to me that I don't have anything like carpal tunnel, but it's more central nervous system related, and he said something more like the lines of MS. So I went back to my general practitioner and told her that the workers' comp doctor thinks it's more along the lines of MS. She laughed at me and said it was ridiculous and that couldn't be. So as the years went on, I started to notice other little symptoms, and I would notice that when I put my head down to look down, I would get tingling sensations only in my hand and a warm sensation that would run down the side of my right leg. So then I went back to the doctor, thinking in the back of my head the MS thingy, and he told me that there's no way this could be happening because my hand would not just feel the tingling, it would have to go down through my shoulder, my arms, and to my hand, and that my leg doesn't connect to anything. So I didn't worry about it, and then as time went on, I'd wake up and I couldn't feel my right leg, and I'd shift positions and I'd get the feeling back right away. So I knew it was nerve-related. So I went back in, and again, she told me there was nothing wrong with me, it was all in my head. But as time went on, I started to notice more and more symptoms. So then I switched doctors and, health insurances, and that's where I had a new general practitioner, and she had me checked for MS, and it turned out that I had lesions in the brain, and then they did the spinal tap, which they said confirmed the MS diagnosis.
And what were their findings? You had the scarring, you had the lesions, and what was their next steps for you, Diana?
They set me up with a neurologist, and I went in to see him with all my list of questions and all the different things that I noticed were going on, like when it was cold outside, my right leg, the knee would stiff, and when I was running, there was no, or trying to run, there was no signal from my knee down to my foot. It was kind of like my leg just was not there. So he said that could be MS related, but he said as far as my the problems with stiffness, that was more arthritic sounding. So I kind of felt like I didn't get a clear answer from him. But then he told me that they wanted to start me on medication right away, and I told him I did not want anything that I had to shoot myself with a needle. And, of course, want anything like being hooked up to an IV. So he said, well, in that case, there's different pills. So he set me up for another appointment to come back to go over the different pills. So when I went back in, he said for me, since I had such a mild case and he did not ever see me being disabled, that Tecfidera would probably be the best. So my husband did some research on Tecfidera. It's been used in Europe. I think it was Germany for 30 years for psoriasis. I think they make one change to something, but it's the same chemical, same chemical makeup. So, listening to what my husband said, I thought, okay, if Germany's using it, which I'm from Germany, I thought they're pretty good about what they do. They're more holistic than the Americans are. So then I got the pills in the mail, and then when I started to read the side effects, I just cried and cried because the side effects are horrendous. The PML, I mean, if you are doing it naturally and you wind up in a wheelchair, it's better than getting PML, encephalitis, I think of the brain is what it is, which means you're either disabled or dead. There's no cure for that.
Yes, Diana, let's talk about that a little bit. That PML, progressive multifocal leukoencephalopathy, PML, which is a deadly brain infection. And it's interesting, Diana, and I know you and I have talked about this before. When I started writing my book 5 years ago, Tecfidera was the go-to drug. They had all the accolades that this was going to be the greatest thing for MS, and it had benign or no type of reaction. You would not have any kind of problems with it. And here, fast forward to 5 years later, and it's giving PML the worst side effect that we could possibly have from these drugs. So it's pretty scary when you see how things start to unfold. And so as you were reading this, Diana, what were your thoughts?
I was trying to figure out how not to take it. But then again, I was so scared because the neurologist scare the crap out of you. I asked him when I was in there, is there something I can do naturally, food I can eat, something, herbs? And he told me absolutely not. It's going to progress. The only thing he sees is stem cell research, which after I looked at that and I thought, well, no, that goes through chemo. There's no way I would put that into my body.
Right.
And I was thinking, okay. So, but what I did start noticing is I started the Tecfidera. Within about 5 weeks, I started having other symptoms. My right hand became to the point where it got so stiff that it was uncomfortable using my hand. And it was horrible. I noticed I started getting joint pain in my hand, and mainly in my right hand where I was already having problems. I noticed that I was getting burning sensations in my shin and my forearm. So I started writing it down, and the problems happened. Besides, my hand just kept getting worse and worse. The other things, the burning sensations, happened about an hour and a half after I took the medication. So that tells me it's attacking me somehow. My body is telling me this is not right. So what I did notice is those areas that started to burn later started getting stiffness. And so I figured there's got to be a better way. And then I was going to MS meetings, and I ran into a guy that has I switched neurologists too, because obviously the first one I had didn't know anything and wasn't really reading up on anything. Because D3, your vitamin D3, the higher it is, the better off you are. Right. So my D3 was at 23, so obviously he didn't know what he was talking about.
Diana, so let's expand on that a little bit. Yes, we know there are certain things we can do, and if our doctors aren't up to speed on healthy diet or different protocols, how can they possibly be serving us? And you're right, our D3 levels are so important. In fact, they have the Coambre protocol, which is high-dose vitamin D that MS sufferers are using effectively, and that has a 95% success rate. And then when we talk about diets, we have the OMS diet, we have the Swink diet, which has about 70 years of research behind it. That has a 95%, success rate as well. And then we have, Dr. Morris and his diet. I mean, there's so many things we can do to heal. So you really have to look at who's surrounding you, the information they're giving you. Those doctors, are they serving you and focusing on your repair and your healing of your body, which is, at the end of the day, what we have to do here, because MS, as we know, they can't really tell us what it is. You know, is it from bacteria, an infection? Is it from vascular? You know, is it from past traumas? We're not really sure yet. So we all have to be actively looking at ways to repair and heal the body. So what did you decide to do then, Diana, when you were having all these reactions? You switched doctors because that doctor really wasn't on board with what you were thinking. Then what did you do?
Then I switched to a different doctor who has a very good reputation in the state of California. He's well known, and I figured because he's been doing it so long, everybody knows who he is. He's probably up on everything that's going on. So I switched to him, and he did say diet was important, but he said it wouldn't affect the MS. And again, he said the same thing, that I have a very mild case. But before I went and saw him, I ran across a guy at an MS meeting who came in to talk about a device you can put on your leg to help your leg move because his leg no longer would work without the device. And he's been off of DMD since, I think he said about 15 years. And
Wow.
he started taking one, wound up in a coma in the hospital. And he said when he came out of the coma, he was like, "You're not putting me on nothing anymore. I'll figure it out on my own."
Mm-hmm.
So he's been on the drugs for about 15 years. And he says he's not progressed much since then except his leg. And that's been the only progression. He walks 3 miles and takes supplements. So then I thought, well, gee, if he can do it, then there's got to be other people out there. So I went online, and that's where I found you on the MS Natural, I think it was the recovery thing. And then I started asking you about, can I talk to you, please? And you called me, and we chatted for about 3 hours. So with your help, that day I quit my medication. I was scared to death, but I knew you had my back. And so I quit the medication, and it's been the best thing that I've ever done. When I went back and saw the doctor, I had emailed his office first and said, the medication is attacking me. I told you that the visit. I'm getting worse instead of better. And my biggest change was trying to do Dr. Wall's protocol and taking the DMDs. Now, even with her protocol, the high meat and the constant fat, I think, did not help me any. I think it made it worse, with the Tecfidera. So then I really lasted on her stuff for about 3 months, cheating, off and on, because it just wasn't. I don't like meat, so I had a really time with all the meat consumption.
Sure.
And even the high content of fat in the coconut and all that, I just had a really hard time with it. Because for my body, I just don't think my body liked it. So then I quit the Tecfidera, and I went in, I saw the doctor and the neurologist, and I told him that I got off the Tecfidera. He was very unhappy. He said that we'll do another MRI come January, which was last month. And then he said, based on the MRI, if I have more lesions, he wants me to go back on it. So I told him I'm not doing the MRI because all that radiation to my head or whatever it does is not helping me any. I told him that through another friend who was also very supportive, I did the Atlas, and the Hermites syndrome, most of that is gone. I still have a little bit left, but the majority of it is gone. So I think that makes a big difference for me. The heavy leg sensation I used to get, I don't get at all anymore.
Diana, let's talk about that a little bit. So you decided to go off the DMDs, and for anybody out there that's thinking about it, I know you were scared, but when you started seeing results that other people were having, doing a healthy lifestyle, more natural lifestyle, alternative therapies, you said there's something here. And anybody that's out there that's thinking about, are these DMDs right for me? Talk to your loved ones who are there supporting you. Talk to your doctor, or better yet, seek out a functional medical doctor or an osteopathic doctor, doctors that look at your whole body and see what they're saying as far as, supporting you in whatever path you want to take, going naturally or on the DMD route. But, just understand that everything you put into your body, you're going to have a good reaction or you're going to have a bad reaction, right? So you just really have to listen to your body and trust your gut as well, because you were really, Diana, knew when you were taking that drug that it was really negatively affecting you, and you felt it, like you said, within an hour and a half you were having all this these symptoms. And so your body was saying, forget it, right? So you listen to your body. So I'm really proud of you for taking that step because it is scary. It is scary because we're always given the worst case scenarios from the doctors in most cases. So
Well,
I'm really proud of you.
thank you. Well, I asked him, I said, I'm a little confused. You told me my case was so minor, both neurologists, that I probably will never be disabled. I said, so if I'm not going to be disabled, why are you pushing this pill on me?
Mm-hmm.
I said, why are you asking me to take something that could harm me in the long run? That I said, I just don't understand. What I also did was I went to a naturopath and had testing and stuff done. And, I found out like my D was very low, which I already knew, and
Mm-hmm.
some other things. And she put me on tons of supplements. And when I brought up to her about the D3 needs to be in combination with the K2, she didn't know that you need K2 to process the D3. So then I thought, oh, man, I just wasted all this money to see somebody. She put me on all these supplements. I spent, I think it was almost like $1,500 to $2,000.
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't know what she's talking about. Then she kept telling me she wanted me to eat more meat. I needed protein. Well, I was doing all my own reading. You can get your protein, your amino acids through your fruits. So
Yeah.
then through another friend, I found Dr. Robert Morris. So I started reading on Dr. Morris, and I think that his way of thinking and even watching his videos, I found that a lot of the problems that I'm having were due to like my adrenals not working, my kidneys maybe not working. So I found a lot of that, and I started following him. And based on the things that he said, my body seems more in agreement with the way he looks at things. So I quit going to the naturopath and figured I would just try to do this on my own and see how, it may take 2 to 5 years and see how I do. And I went on a 9.5-day fast and changing my diet to fruits and mainly fruits with vegetables. I cheat every now and then, which I shouldn't be doing because I feel it. But I noticed that my hand is probably about 70% better than it was. So that was a big thing for me. I don't feel the stiffness in my shins that much anymore. That's pretty much gone. So, I feel like I'm getting better.
So you're following Dr. Morris's diet, which I know a lot of MS in our MS family are doing that as well. What kind of other therapies or what things are you doing to help repair and heal Diana?
I'm doing the Atlas. I'm doing myotherapy. So
Diana, sorry for 1 second. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want to expand on that. You're doing Atlas orthogonal, and
yeah.
I have done a couple of broadcasts on that. We even had Dr. Mark Freund on, who is my Atlas doctor, because Atlas, guys, is something so important. I think it's something everybody needs to do. Our Atlas is very small. If you take your thumb and your index finger and put them together, that's about the size, maybe even a little smaller, depending on how big your hand is. That's about the size of your Atlas, and it's very thin. And here you have this 14 to 17-pound head sitting on your Atlas. And what happens when that gets misaligned, and you could have trauma from birth, you could have trauma from car accidents or being on sports, and when that Atlas gets off and it's not centered properly, all your cerebral spinal fluid is not flowing properly in your brain. It's not flowing properly, down your neck, and everything is kind of all stuck up there. So I just want to tell people, just like Diana is doing, she's doing the Atlas orthogonal. Talk to your doctors about it, or find upcspine.com. You can check it out to see if there's an Atlas adjuster in your area. But it's something that makes perfect sense. And just like you, Diana, we know what being on the Tecfidera and the issues that you were having, that this would be something else to help you in that healthy lifestyle. So you're doing that. You're doing the myofascial release. What other things are you doing?
Well, I'm going to start doing yoga. I'm not too good at meditating. I need to do that. And I do a little bit of walking to keep my limbs moving. I used to do more exercises, but when you're detoxing, they recommend that the exercise be to a minimum because they don't want lactic acid building up in the system because that's acid, and you're trying to get rid of all the acid. And I mainly just do my diet, and I watch a lot of the videos so I can continue to learn about my body with Dr. Morris. I'm reading the book with the medical medium, and I'm seeing that he has a lot of the same mindset as Dr. Morris, except for one of them uses glandulars and the other one says not to. When I went to a chiropractic to do the lower part of my back, he gave me a name by the Jason Fong, MD. He's a doctor in, I think it was Canada, and he's doing the same thing as Dr. Morris, and he's a medical doctor. So he's recommending people, he does diabetes, people going on fruits to cure their diabetes, whether it's 1 or 2. So I'm finding that what we eat is probably the biggest factor in everything.
Agreed. Now, what kind of supplements are you taking right now, Diana?
Right now, I quit all the supplements because I'm working with a detox specialist at Dr. Morris's office, and she wants my body to start producing everything that it should be producing. So at this point, but I am taking herbs and glandulars. The herbs I'm taking, there's so many different ones that I've been taking: upper circulation, lower circulation, adrenals. I mean, they have me on a bunch of different herbs, and I took the time to print it out and look at the different herbs that are in there, and then I went to an herb book, and the herbs that they have are phenomenal. The herb book, pretty much everything they have is recommended, so I felt really good about it. So eventually, when you're done detoxing, you don't really need to take any of that, and then you I will judge it by my body. Like, I don't get enough sun. So even though they don't recommend taking supplements, because of where I live, I'll probably, even though I'm in California, I don't go outside as much as I should. So I'll probably continue with the D3 and the K2. And my B12, my B12 was high, so I'm not too concerned with that. I'll just start eating more the foods that I need to get the supplements instead of buying it. Because I found that with talking to people and looking into my own stuff, there's 2 ways that people are handling MS, and I find it's working. One of them is the way that the route you went, you treated it as a vitamin deficiency, and so that's the one route, and the other route is through detox. But both of them are working because you're not the only one that I've talked to that has done it with the supplements. So I know they both work. So once I detox, then I'll start finding if there's certain supplements that I need, then I'll be taking those.
Diana, I am so happy that you are on this journey to healing, and you've given us so much great information today. And I love that we know there are many different ways to tackle MS naturally. You're one story and I'm one story, and we're doing it differently, but you know what? When we focus on healing, our body will respond. Just like you say, detoxing, that is such a critical part as well. So I really want our listeners to understand that once you start healing, once you focus on healing, your body was made to heal. We just have to give it the right tools to do so. And Diana, do you have any last comments for everybody before we end the broadcast today?
Well, I'm a very curious, nosy person. So anytime I see somebody on Facebook that has healed something naturally, whether it's MS, cancer, whatever, I text them on Messenger, and then I ask them a bunch of questions. But I'm finding that those that use the medications are not having the success as those that are going natural. So I'm glad I quit the medication, and I appreciate all the help you've given me and held my hand through it. And there's one other friend that I would like to thank. She knows who she is. But between the 2 of you, I would never have had the courage to do this. And for that, I love you guys, and I thank you.
Oh, well, Diana, thank you so much for being on the call, and I truly honor our friendship, and I'm so glad that we got put together, really. I think it's a God thing, and I am excited to hear about your journey, continuing to heal, continuing to get back out there, and to even start your running again. So I want to thank you so much for being on the broadcast, and thank you, everyone, for being here. If you want to reach out to me, you can connect with me at Kelly Alderton on Facebook, or Waking Up from MS on Facebook at all. I would love to hear about your own story or own journey of dealing with MS. And remember, live in hope, focus on healing, and God bless.